My name is Ron Suggs, Senior Advisor and Strategist for Infinite Business Strategies. Today, we're going to be talking about goals and metrics with our special guest, Executive Director of St. Louis Mosaic Project, Betsy Cohen. Welcome, Betsy.
Ron, I'm really glad to be here. Thanks so much for having me here.
We're glad to have you. And goals and metrics are very important. And I couldn't think of a better person who understands how to do this than you. So before we get started, let's talk about who you are, what you're doing, and how did all of this come to being?
Thanks. Well, I had a long corporate career. And as I was finishing my corporate career, I heard about an opportunity that was happening in the community where research had been done that showed that we need to be growing our foreign-born population, that we need more international people here to help our regional growth because our white and black population that was born here is not growing. So I came forward and I was hired as the executive director of what is now called the St. Louis Mosaic Project, which is part of our St. Louis Economic Development Partnership. So now, having left a corporate career, I work for a quasi-governmental economic development agency that reflects the growing needs of our St. Louis City and St. Louis County.
What's causing, you said the growth is not growing in the St. Louis area. What is causing that?
Our region has been stagnant for a long time and many other regions are growing. And so that puts us behind. We know that our center city has lost population. Some of the county, St. Louis County has been flat, and then some of the outlying suburbs have grown. But as a region, we are still at about 2.8 million people, and that has not grown. And other regions are growing. We are now right at the 20th largest region, but we're on the verge of losing that as other regions are being more productive. They're attracting more people. They're attracting more business. So they're growing. And we as a region need to grow in our population, our diversity, and in turn, that will help grow our education and our business community if we have the talent and the families that will provide that growth.
Is it a kind of a departure from businesses, or is it just folks just moving away to warmer climates? What are some of the other elements that are driving this?
Well, companies want to be where they can find a workforce and talent. And so right now, that is a challenge because many companies that are looking to locate in the country are looking to where the population is growing. And they lean into where the growth is. So if we're flat, they don't come as often. And so we have to show them that we are growing and we're showing that we have efforts and that we have such a talented workforce, which we do. We have a great workforce that's primed for growth. And we have companies that are coming here. For example, AT&T just announced new operations here. The NGA, the geospatial, is expanding here. So we have that happening. We need more of it. And so part of that is we need to attract people to be part of the future workforce. In addition, we need to train the people that are here. And that means we need to train people that are of all different ethnicities, of all different backgrounds, and we need a pipeline of talent, and we need to be committed to that.
So your organization is not only bringing in the international folks, but even reaching out across the country to look at bringing not only industry in, but bringing individuals back to the St. Louis area, if I'm hearing you correctly.
Yes, so the region has a number of initiatives about attracting businesses, attracting people, attracting talent. The particular slice I work on is the foreign-born that we attract here. So when companies bring international people, or refugees come, or people come and have an international spouse. So I work on helping them be productive so that they will tell family and friends, you know, if you're an international person, St. Louis has great programs that you will thrive both professionally and personally. So I work on that sliver, but there are many of us that work together to talk about all the kinds of people and businesses that we are working to attract together.
Perfect. So that leads into our goals and our metrics. So you have goals, obviously, with the organization that you're leading, and there's metrics. Can you walk us through what are goals and what are metrics, and why are they important?
So when the research was done that led to the St. Louis Mosaic Project, it showed that we have just under 5% foreign-born people in our region, and the national number is now close to 14% foreign-born. So the steering committee that had been formed before I was hired came up with a goal that was given to me, and that was we want the St. Louis region to be the fastest growing major metropolitan area for foreign-born people by the year 2020, and now we're looking at toward the year 2025. And so
Wow.
that was given to me as a goal to organize the work I came in to start to do. And so that became an organizing principle for me. And it also became something that I needed to use to talk to all of our stakeholders that were funders, that are partners, that are collaborators, from universities to companies to organizations, civic organizations, to all get behind this need that we have to be faster growing than other large regions so that we can keep up our growth momentum. And so that's the goal part. And then I started developing programs that have metrics that lead us toward that goal that we need to keep working on so that we can have this regional growth story.
Wow, that's huge. That's a lot of work. And again, you and I have known each other and worked together for, more than 2 decades. And I know you've led large organizations when we worked together at Purina. That's huge. So what type of resources do you have to help you get to the place where you can meet those goals and then outline those metrics?
So it's interesting because in my corporate career, there were times when I had a small team reporting to me, but I would influence more across the organization. And there were other times where I had 100 people or a very large team. In this situation now, I would say it's more influencing. I have a very small team. There are 3 of us that are really dedicated, and then I have some consultants and volunteers. And then I have collaborators and partners with hundreds of organizations here and actually around the country that are helping us reach these goals. So it's many different connection points that have to be used to influence an understanding of what the region needs to do to grow. And because of that, I am communicating up and horizontally and then downward in the community to so many collaborating entities. And that's what makes this work very interesting and very challenging, because it's not like everybody is assigned full time to help this initiative reach its goal. A lot of people have many conflicting and other goals in their own organizations and their own jobs, but I have to pull them in so that we can all find a way to work toward this one that is one of many regional goals.
And that takes a lot of skill to be able to do that. And I think the term that some of us use is like herding cats at times because of the different agendas. But it seems to me that the initiative, people are buying into what you're saying. And so it makes it easier to do that when there's buy-in. So let's talk about goals. How do you create a goal? And how many should I have? Is it 1, 2, 3, 20?
So when I started and came into this role 7 years ago, there was one, which was about 1% growth. And then I thought it was important and talked to various of our stakeholders that we actually add a second goal that talked about the number of people we want to attract to the region. I really believe that if you're running something like this that's a regional initiative, 1 to 3 goals is probably what you can communicate effectively. There might be other goals behind the scenes, but if you have 1, 2, or 3 goals that you can succinctly communicate so people can understand, then you have a good chance at breaking through the clutter. But if you don't and have too many goals that you're trying to communicate to a broader community, you won't be successful. And it's also an organizing principle for our various teams and partners. They know what's in their interest to help me and the Mosaic Project and the Economic Development Partnership and our World Trade Center. They know if they're a university with international students, they understand why we share this goal. Or if they're a company that's attracting international people, they understand why they share this goal. Or if it's a neighborhood that's looking to have new storefronts and retail businesses, they know that foreign-born people, immigrants, are more entrepreneurial and they know they need to grow, so they know what's in it for them. So we have that shared idea of what we need to do, and then that helps us develop the shared goal, and then we can develop programs and metrics to get there.
Okay, so you're saying that the fewer the better, correct, as far as goals are concerned?
Well, several. I'd say 3.
Okay, so
Up to 3.
Okay, 3. So 3 goals. But it's a lot easier to manage those 3 goals with all of the touch points that you have. And so that's a good thing for us. Let me ask you this. So when you are in the boardroom or meeting room and you have a white sheet of paper and you're discussing what you're going to do to move this initiative forward, how do you come about getting those goals or writing them down and be able to bring life to them?
I think it takes a lot of listening, Ron. You know, I talk to people that have shared goals with us, and I try to listen to what are their pain points, what are the problems, are they trying to grow international students? Are they trying to attract certain kinds of employees? Do they have a problem that when they bring people to St. Louis, the spouses don't have a way to connect, therefore there's a problem, and we can then come up with a program that will solve the problem that will help the talent be successful in St. Louis. So it takes relationships. It takes that authentic ability to listen to people, see what's in their interest, and then say, what I heard you say was this, and then coming back and saying, we have a solution for that. Do you think this would interest, you know, your community? If we can develop a program to help that accompanying spouse or partner, would that help you with your talent? Or if we can help you attract international faculty members to your university and help them see that St. Louis is going to be supportive, will that help you when you attract faculty members or a spouse of a faculty member or a partner of a faculty member? It also helps us when we're looking at resources nationwide and even internationally. If they see that St. Louis is really hungry for people and excitement and programming and funding, and we have really successfully been able to go after some national grants to help us with this because they see that we have partners that are very excited with what we're doing.
So talk to me about bringing people back to St. Louis or bringing people to St. Louis or businesses. Is that a part of what you do, or do you work with organizations that do that?
So we are part of the World Trade Center of St. Louis within the St. Louis Economic Development Partnership. And we work with other of the attraction community in St. Louis. So Alliance St. Louis, Civic Progress, the Regional Business Council, our other communities. So when there are initiatives about a company that's expanding, if there's an international component, we get involved so we can say, if you have international people, we will help them or their spouses or their family. We have a program with Mosaic Ambassador Schools, where we have schools that are very welcoming to international families. We have Mosaic Ambassador companies, and so we kind of highlight and tell the story of our companies and organizations that are looking to be more welcoming to diverse talent that is international, in addition to other kinds of diversity that the company has. So we use those when we are talking about how can a company grow if they're here, or how are we a part of a team? So when there's a company that's looking to move here, we become part of that team. And we come into the presentation to say, for those employees that move here that are international, this is how we can help. But then we're not the leader of the team, but we are one of the players on the team.
So how do you get those individuals to, or what is the process of indoctrinating them into the St. Louis culture, so to speak?
Well, there are a number of ways. So we have like one organization that is called the International Spouse Program, where there are now over 500 international women that get together and have activities. So they learn and they visit things in St. Louis by Zoom. They were in person and by Zoom or by meeting. And so we have an international spouse group. We have an international men's group. We have a program called the International Women's Mentoring Program, where now over 100 local women are matched with 100 international women. And these pair of an international and a local women meet once a month for a year. And so they form a relationship and they each learn from the other. And this has become so powerful that in some of these situations when the family has now had an opportunity to leave St. Louis, the spouse says, no, I love it in St. Louis. And so we have really kept people here because a company can spend hundreds of thousands of dollars relocating somebody to St. Louis. And the number one reason why it's not successful when you look at national data is because the spouse is not happy. And so we work with the companies. Some of the companies every month send me a list of anybody they're moving here internationally. So we immediately reach out, even before they get here, with ways that we can help them. We also help foreign-born entrepreneurs, and we connect them to financing. And then we work with international students, and we do seminars, and we have matches for them, and we help them counsel on how to get jobs and internships, and we give information. So we have a program that's very interesting called the Professional Connector Program. And this is for foreign-born people who come, who have their work authorization, but they don't have a network in St. Louis. And you know how important a network is.
Yes, I do.
And so we then, every week, we get one or two. And this morning we had our team meeting and we had two international people looking to find jobs, they're work authorized, and we then match them with someone who's in their field who can help them make some introductions. So we are doing this all the time so that people feel that they are connected and that someone cares about them, and that they and their spouse know that St. Louis is working hard to keep them here and to have them be successful.
I can tell you this. You said something earlier that once you get here, you want to stay. Some of the spouses want to stay. When I came to St. Louis, I came to St. Louis kicking and screaming. I did not want to be in St. Louis. But 23 years later, I don't want to leave. And it's really a type of environment that, or culture that grows on you. And it's a great place to raise your family. People are connected. We have a friendly environment. So I'm here to stay. At least, that's where my feeling is. So thank you for kind of walking through that piece. Let's shift gears just a little bit and add to the second part of that, which would be the metrics. Kind of walk me through how you outline the metrics for these goals, and I think they're outstanding goals. What's your process in really developing those metrics?
So the process is we try to see what do we think the demand is in our different programs, and then what do we think the aspiration, how much better and bigger could we be? And so how do you then look ahead and say, well, if we're only helping in one of our programs one person a week, how could we do that and do two a week so we could serve 100 people a year and not 50? So it's a way of saying what's a priority right now. And so, for example, now we know that workforce issues are really important in the region. So we're really thinking, how can we push our workforce goals so that we can be more beneficial to the region? So we're looking at then, how do we set a new metric for what we do? And then if we set a metric that's bigger than what we've been doing, what kind of outreach do we need? Do we need some other volunteers, consultants, people in the community? How do we take our message for that program in a bigger way? So the metric, and for example, in this case, raising a metric, hiring, making the number higher than it was before, then puts onto us that we need more resources to get there. And it also means we may have another program where something is declining and we can pull time and resources because the times have changed and we won't be able to do as much in one program. So then we'll change and we'll move a metric up on a program that we think is going to give us more return, and we'll pull resources and change our metrics on a program that we don't think we can get the same return.
How often do you check in on your goals and your metrics? How often do you have checkpoints, if you will?
Well, we really reset them or look at, are they calibrated correctly annually when we do our strategic planning. We have a fiscal year that ends September. So as we get ready to start our new fiscal year in the fall, we're looking to say, what do we now know? And do we need to tweak the metrics toward our long-term goals? But then we're always adjusting if we find that there's something that has drastically changed. And so some businesses are fairly stable. But, right now there's a lot of discontinuity with what's gone on in our environment, everything from the pandemic to economic issues that all of a sudden you never would have expected, to racial issues, to transportation issues. And so as a region, you have to be more nimble, and once a year may not be enough. So, we've had to keep adjusting, and then we just did another reset for the coming year.
Okay, so there's a initial view of them, you outline them, and then what you're saying is that you have checkpoints, and then if you need to reevaluate those in the future, you'll look at those based on what's going on and the changes in our society. So let's focus, and I'm going to tap in a little bit to your past business experience, and I know you do some of this today. So if I were to start a new business, and this goes out to our new business owners or ones that are thinking about starting a business, what would I tell them about goals and metrics, and how should I look at those from that standpoint? What advice would you give?
One is to get a mentor, and we are very active in getting people starting businesses connected with mentors. That can be through the SCORE, which is retired executives. It could be through I-10 if it's a high-tech business. It could be through the Balsa Foundation if it's a minority or an immigrant business. But finding someone who has worked on the entrepreneurial pathway so they can give you a framework is really important. So don't go it alone. there's chambers of commerce, there's lots of places, but you need good advice. You need people who have already set up a business, ideally maybe in a related industry or understand your industry. So looking for help, looking for mentors, and understanding what does a business plan look like? How do you have a minimum viable product that can test whether your product or your service is going to have a market? How do you get your traction? How do you prove the concept? And then how do you build a plan? So all those are things that are important for a general business, but certainly for us when we work with people that are foreign born, they may have issues of language, they may not have a network, so they need even extra help, which is also true often of our African American community who may not have all the networks, but can look to many of our organizations, including ours, for making relationships among all the resources the research shows are reason that we have in this region. And so you need to look at where the resources are and then build a plan, but don't go it alone.
So you said mentor. How do you choose a mentor?
Well, sometimes you choose a mentor, sometimes a mentor chooses you. But you need to put yourself in an environment where you're going to find people that are experienced in what you do. But you need to say, where is there a society or an association that is people like me? And so if you go find people like you will find mentors. So it could be in an entrepreneurial organization, or it could be in a society of engineers, or it could be in a trade association, or it could be through your alumni association, or it could be through an entrepreneurial network that is really targeted toward biomedical or toward restaurants or whatever the business might be. You look for, you talked about herding cats, but you look for where are the other cats? Where are the other people doing what you're doing, and say, who's good? Who should I go to? Who mentored you? And see who was good and see who they recommend and find one or even a few people who could be an advisory board so that you get really good advice and you don't have missteps, don't waste time and money, but you really devote yourself toward growing the business the way you want to.
That's a great segue, Betsy. What advice or what nuggets would you leave for our listening audience that would help them develop their goals and metrics, or if they wanted to start a new business, what should they be thinking about?
I would say to have a passion for your idea, have a passion for your business or your service or what it is that you think you can bring to our community and to the world, and then find the tribe, find those people that are going to be collaborators. And they may be associates, they may be people who want to fund you, who want to give you ideas, but find people to surround yourself with that believe in you, and then look for those who can guide you, who've been on that path before so that they can tell you what's a good goal, what should you do in your first year, what should you be looking at 3 years out, how do you make sense of it all, and then how do you set up those metrics that are going to give you the milestones that show you're on the path to success. Because when you're on the path to success, other people are going to join you. They're going to want to be on your team. They're going to want to support you with resources. And that's what makes the journey so valuable.
So tell me about the Mosaic Project and how do you get involved with it and who do you contact for the information?
So the St. Louis Mosaic Project has a website, stlmosaicproject.org, and it has an area that says contact us, and you get my email. And either I or one of my two colleagues get back to people, and they can see, anyone can see our programs, and we have people who sign on to get our newsletter and really decide how they can help us be a more welcoming region. And someone might want to get a newsletter, they may want to be a Mosaic ambassador, they may want to help us welcome international students or be a buddy of an international person who's moved here, or they want to just be more aware about how are we a more welcoming community to people that are either international or of color that work and live here. So a lot of ways, and when people email or call, we say, what are you interested in? And then we connect them so they can quickly get involved.
Betsy, thank you so much for joining us today on Let's Talk About It. It has been very informative, and I know there's a lot more that we could talk about. And I know there's a lot of things that you're passionate about. Would love to have you come back again and join us and share some of the knowledge and wealth of information that you have for our listening audience. Thanks again for joining us.
Thank you, Ron. I would love that.